Right.
Recording in progress.
So welcome everyone. This is our mobility and flexibility class. We will be stretching from the chair. We will also stand up and do some balance exercises and some stretches as we're standing. And then we'll finish with some floor exercises and some stretches on the floor as well. But as always, I'm Coach Julio. If you have any questions or any, if you any requests as far as a specific muscle joint or muscle group or joint, let me know. Yesterday or this morning, I woke up with the pretty tight upper mid back. So turning right now kind of irritates it. Good morning, Michelle. So just let me know if there's anything that feels off that we could maybe try to work out today. So hopefully we're making you feel a little bit better. Okay. So we'll start with some facial stretches. So let's go ahead and open our mouth as wide as we can. Tilt your head up while keeping that mouth open, and then bring your chin towards your nose. You're gonna feel a long stretch on your neck. Okay, so let's go ahead and do about 8 of those. So open, tilt, and then bring that chin to your nose, and repeat. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very good. Alright, next we're gonna go ahead and start working on our neck. We'll work on some facial stuff too, but let's start with our neck, looking left to right. So I could go about all 90 degrees to my left side with a little bit of strain on my right side, but here it's more like 60 to 70%, and then it starts hurting my neck and my shoulders a little bit. It was weird. I was just laying down in bed. I randomly woke up about 4 a.m. and something just felt tight on my back, and I went to stretch it out just from a laying position, and when I did that I felt a little pull, and then it didn't relax after that. Let's look up and down. So yeah, sometimes when those happen, it's not like a significant pain or range of motion. They kind of go away after a couple of days. But at the same time, it's a little annoying that you're just in bed sleeping and then you feel like a little pull, and then now everything's tight. Let's go ahead and palpate from your earlobes down your jawline. So from here, just palpate gently. Just feel from your jawline, trying to get the little vessels on your skin active, get some blood flow to that area. Now let's go from the side of your eyes down to the side of your face. Alright, let's go with your knuckles now. So your knuckles, just kind of roll them on your cheeks. Very good. Alright, let's go ahead and inhale through our nose. We're gonna exhale through our lips, okay? But I want you to just make a little windpipe so it's not this huge exhaust of air coming out real quick. It's just a little bit at a time. So inhale, and then exhale. Get it all out. And then again, repeat. Inhale, exhale. You should feel your core getting tight as you're exhaling. Continue. Again. Awesome, great. Now we're gonna puff up our cheeks with air. So fill them up with air, have a big air bubbles, and we're gonna move that air bubble side to side, okay? So just move it side to side. And up and down as well. And left to right. And relax. Okay, let's do our neck circles. So gently, oh, I'm already dreading these because I know certain angles will irritate my back, but kind of have to just loosen it up. So remember, these movements are slow, but trying to get as much range of motion as possible. Switch. Yeah, I could do this side no problem like this. So weird. Alright, very good. Let's look left and add a little bit of pressure with our chin. So turn left and apply pressure. So just add some pressure right there. Look right. Okay, so turn right now, and then apply pressure on your left side towards your right. Very good. We're gonna sit on that right hand. Okay, sit on the right hand, bring the left hand over, and allow that shoulder to stay fixed. Come this way. Let's switch. Sit on that left hand now. Bring that right hand over. Did anyone eat a little too much over the weekend with the 4th of July holiday? I thought I was, but I didn't, which was good. I'm not disappointed. I think most years I feel really guilty of how I ate, but this year wasn't too bad. And then let's go both hands behind our head, and then elbows, drop them down. And relax. Alright, we'll do a couple more things on the chair, and then we'll start doing some balance stuff standing. Okay, so let's do snow angels. So in the fall, I have I believe on Mondays and Wednesday my classes are at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. So in case you want to enroll, that window has opened. We'll have a variety of classes 4 days a week. Let's bring that right arm across. Let's switch. Arm over. We're going to reach up towards the ceiling, so push up, hands up towards the ceiling. Working a little bit on your posture too, so try not to slouch back and reach, so try to be upright. And let's lean right. Go left. Alright, we'll do our cat scratching pose here. So this is where we are sitting towards the front of the chair. Okay, we're gonna be up here, reach up towards the ceiling, reach, 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 and then come back in. Okay, so let's repeat that. So reach and come back, repeat, three, 4, 5, we're gonna do 8, 6, 7, one more, and 8. Okay, let's make a fist like this with our hands, put them in front of us, look down and punch forward, and relax, look down, punch forward, again look down, punch forward, 3 more, down, punch forward, down and punch forward. Very good. Alright, let's go on our feet. Separate the class a little bit into now balance work. So we are going to be here on our feet. Just tandems or Romberg stance, so feet are close together. Okay, and we're just going to look left to right now. Okay, so getting our neck a little bit more stretching, but at the same time also throwing off our equilibrium. Working on ankle stability. Up and down. Alright, close your eyes. Again, if you don't feel safe, then just open your eyes, separate your feet. You might feel your ankles shaking a little bit, maybe your arches. Open your eyes. Okay. Let's go ahead and do slow high knee marches. Okay, so we're going up slowly and switching. Okay. So again, up high and switch. The slower you do it, the better. Oh, see, balance isn't all there. Is anyone sweating yet? Let's do our standing Jane Fondas. So this is going to be a hip abduction. So from here we're going to bring our leg out, then in. This is my third class today, and the last two I was sweating. So I'm definitely due to change my shirt after this one and go shower, but it's a little early in the class. Maybe by the end of it I'll be sweating again. 2 more. So again, for this one, you could always hold on to a counter if you have it nearby. I'm gonna switch left side now. Very good. Alright, so that was our hip abductions, okay? So let's go ahead and just break that up a little bit with a little bit of standing stretching. Okay, so from here we're going to just do trunk rotations. So just turn your torso side to side. Let's do ab circles. So hinge at the hips. In here. Come back. Two more on each side. Last one on each side. Alright, very good. Let's go with big hula hoops, okay? So big hula hoops, just exaggerated hip circles here. So depending how tight you are, there's days where I could do these as giant circles and I barely feel a stretch. And there's days like today that I just, it doesn't matter how wide these circles are, I just feel them on my hamstrings and my inner thighs. Switch. We were playing a game on the 4th of July and it demanded water balloons and us sprinting and running suddenly. So I think all that sudden running got my legs sore. Because I asked my friends too how they were feeling and they said yeah, their legs were pretty sore. So, alright, very good. Alright, this next one's gonna work on our knees a little bit and also our hips. We haven't done this one, but this is one that sometimes I do before my runs to warm them up. So feet are close together, and we're pretty much drawing circles with our knees. Okay, so similar motion as the big hula hoops, but now with our knees. So now just going out this way. Okay, so looks a little funny, but it's gonna have a little bit more mobility on the knee joint than it is on the hip. Okay, so you don't have to be completely super low. You could be just slight bend, and as long as those knees are moving, then switch directions. And relax. So you're almost getting a squat out of that, so don't be surprised if you're a little sore up here already. So, because I feel it. All right, let's go ahead and do our tandem stance. So right foot in front of our left. Right foot in front of our left. And then just a quick question. Feel free to answer or participate. Is anyone taking 3 summer classes at Irvine Valley? 3 or more? 3 or more classes? Show of hands.
I take it.
You are?
Yes.
How many do you have by chance?
I take 2 classes.
2?
Yeah.
You said 3 classes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very cool. Let's look left to right. Does anyone else have more than 3? I'm just curious to see if how many folks usually take. So again, looking left to right. Does anyone take more than 3 like on the regular semester? Meaning like the spring or the fall?
Oh, let me check. Maybe 3. I forget. Because this fall semester I will come back to my country, and until September 1st, maybe I just can watch the YouTube, or you
The recordings?
send the link.
Oh, I see.
I'm not sure.
So up and down. Yeah, where I work at my other college, I teach 6 classes, and I have some students that are in all 6. So it's Monday through Saturday, and then we're gonna close our eyes here. So again, separate your feet, open your eyes if you don't feel safe. So eyes are closed. You could hover your hand over your chair. So yeah, but I know we meet Monday through Saturday.
Let me check. Maybe 3 class.
And then sometimes on those, by that Friday or Saturday, students are just like, okay, I need a break from you. I can't do all 6 days. And open them. All right, we're gonna lift that back foot. Okay, so elevate that back foot. So it's elevated. So we're just standing on that front foot. And then now we're gonna do a high knee drive from here. Okay, so here, drive up, and then back. And down. Okay. Very good. All right, we're gonna
yeah.
We're gonna
3 classes.
3
3
classes.
classes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and we're gonna do a little bit of active stretching, which means that we're moving a little bit more. So I'm just gonna flip my yoga mat here. So this is for your hamstrings here, okay? So we're just gonna do a little small step, straighten out that front leg, and just sweep your hands down low and rise, okay? And then you could just adjust your other feet, and then after an adjustment, now your left leg is straight in front of you. And you could see I'm not here, I'm just like maybe a little bit forward, and I'm gonna sweep. Okay, and you should feel that gradual stretch through the hamstring. So let's do 5 of those on each leg. So we did 1 already. That's 2. That's 2. I like advancing a little bit here. That's 3. So again, this is what I usually do after I go for a walk or before, just so my hamstrings get a little bit of a stretch. Okay, very good. Alright, next we're gonna go ahead and do our tiptoe walks. Okay, so our toe walks. So for these, this is also a strengthening one, but it also helps stretch out your arches. So we're gonna get on our tippy toes and just toes pointing forward. We're just gonna tippy toe in our area. So just find a circle around your living room or your space, and just on your tippy toes, just walk around. Okay, now we're gonna do the same, but now we're gonna turn our toes inward, okay? So toes are in. You're gonna be walking a little funny right now, but now this is stretching out the outside part of your lower leg. Okay, so just continue to move. And then now toes out. So toes out. Okay. And then our next one is gonna be a heel walk. Okay, so usually for this one, my floor is pretty hard. So I need to do these on my yoga mat. So we're just gonna be on our heels. So just walk on your heels with your toes up towards the sky. And this is working out the muscles on that front part of your leg, your anterior tibialis, okay? So if you've ever had shin splints or done with lower leg injuries, this could help alleviate that or avoid it. Okay. Alright, so let's get our feet right next to each other again. Alright, and we're going to draw semicircles, okay? So right leg first, come up towards the front, and then just draw a big circle behind you, and then in, and then back in reverse, and then back. Let's do about 5 of those in each direction. So 2, 3, spending quite a bit of time on just on one foot here. 4, 5, and 5. Okay, just kind of relax your feet a little bit, because I don't know about you, but my feet becomes a little bit tender after something like that. Alright, so now left leg, semicircles this way, and bring it back, and then in reverse. And again, just throwing the legs into a semicircle should affect center of gravity a little bit, so our balance will be thrown off a little bit here. And one more. Very good. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and do a quad stretch. Okay, so grab right above your ankle, pull back. And just, you could always hover your hand over a chair. Let's switch. And relax. Okay. This next one's going to be a new stretch. You might feel it on your hamstring or even on your glute. So what we're going to do, it's similar to that piriformis stretch we do on the chair, but standing. So I want you to bring your heel up by your knee. And if you can, lift it a little bit if you could hold it. And again, you could always use your other hand to hold yourself on the counter. But you're going to feel this stretch a little bit more here, okay? So, yeah, if you need to use a counter, do so, because this is not an easy stance, and you're getting a nice stretch at the same time. Alright, and we're going to switch. And relax. Very good. Alright, so we did our right foot in front of our left. Now we're going to go left foot in front of our right. Okay, so left foot in front of your right. Right here. Now, after this series, we'll have a seat on the chair and continue with some chair stretches. Yeah, so we're in July, and if yeah, we will have, this is, I believe, week 7 of 10 weeks, maybe 11 weeks. Let's look left to right. So we have about, I think, 4 or 5 more meetings for this specific class. And I did update the videos, so there's videos on the front page of Canvas. Did anyone do any of those videos? Up and down? Alright, close your eyes. Remember, if you don't feel safe, just open them. Separate your feet. And open your eyes. Alright, very good. Alright, let's go ahead and go back to the chair. Alright? So let's find the chair. Go back to it. All right. Very good. Let's bring our right hand behind us. Drop that palm, and then let's push down on that elbow. Go ahead and switch. So left hand comes behind and push down on that elbow again. You should feel that stretch running through this area for pushing. Very good. Relax. Let's do a little bit of a trunk rotation. So you can do a lot of shoulder stretches, but over the time, shoulder could get really tired just from being stretched out. So legs are pointing forward. Use your left hand on the bottom, on the rest, or on the seat, and then your right hand on the backrest, and just turn gently. Alright, let's make this turn. So right hand on the seat, left hand on the rest, and turn gently. Relax. All right, we're gonna go ahead, have our elbows here at our side, and we're gonna try to reach behind and try to, I know it's not gonna happen, but try to make contact with your elbows behind you, and then relax, okay? So that's gonna work on shortening those muscles behind and then relaxing them. While those muscles behind you are shortening, up here, your pectoral muscles is stretching. So we're going here, relax. And if you could visualize it too, almost bringing your shoulders behind you. And then when you do that, you should also feel the stretch on that upper mid back. If you're able to stretch that area out and you feel that stretch, that's the muscle group that I pulled in the middle of the night last night. So I was just laying in bed and I felt a little tightness, and I did this motion, and as soon as I did that, I felt a pull. And that was at 4 in the morning. That was not fun. So, all right, gonna go ahead and rotate. Yeah, I got up at 4 and I took 2 Advils and I just went back to sleep, crossing my fingers that it would feel better, and no, feels about the same. We're gonna bring our shoulders forward, down, back, up, and repeat. Then in reverse. Okay, and then now we're gonna sink our elbows and our arms down. Then bring the shoulders up to your ears, and then sink them down, up to your ears, sink. Two more. Great. Still here. Palms are facing the screen, and we're just going to do opposite shoulder taps. Okay, so keep your elbows at your side. We don't want to lift our arm like this. We just want to do this here. Okay, so elbows stay fixed next to you. Okay, now we flip our hands, so now our hands are behind us. Now we go here and down. So this is stretching out our triceps. So once we're here, all the way stretched down, Right, you're gonna get your elbows to your side here. Okay, and we're gonna lift. And then back down. Okay, right elbow to your side, bring it in and then push it out as far as you can and then back this way. Hopefully you're feeling that stretch on the right side. One more. Very good. So elbow now to your side and left arm comes out as far as you can. And last one. Very good. All right, we're gonna go with hip openers. So sit towards the front of the chair. Right knee, bring it out. Right leg and left leg is pointing forward. Your torso is nice and upright. Before that leg collapses, put your hand there so it doesn't. So just prevent it from dropping down. Keep your hand there, torso's upright. We're gonna switch, so let's go ahead and switch this way. Torso still upright and use that hand to prevent that knee from dropping. Very good. All right, we're gonna continue. We did these here. Okay, let's go ahead and work on our wrists a little bit. Okay, so pass your hand, your wrist past your knee, so there's room for it to collapse. Okay, we're gonna have pressure down here and allow and push back up. So you're feeling that forearm working and relax. Let's do about 5 or 6 of those. So push, relax. 3, 4, 5, and one more. 6. Very good. Let's do the other wrist. So allow that wrist to drop down. Place your hand over it and then push. It's 1. Continue. 2. Again. 3. 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so hopefully everyone's working on that mobility on their forearm so that forearm gets a little bit stronger. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and work on our fingers. Okay, so let's bring each finger individually to the center of your hand, and let's do it without bending at the knuckles. See? So keep the fingers straight. Alright, now let's do each finger individually and bend each knuckle as you're bringing each finger individually, okay? Alright, let's make a fist and open them. Separate your feet as far as you can from each other. Fist, open, fist, open, fist, open, open. Very good. Alright, left hand, each finger individually to the center of the hand. Keep each finger straight. Okay, now bend each knuckle with each finger as you're bringing it in. Alright, now make a fist and web them out. So working on those little tendons in between the fingers. Web them out. You can almost just like close those gaps and open them as wide as you can. That may actually work a little bit better than closing your hands. So if you just close your fingers together and web them out, you just want to work on those little tendons between the fingers. Alright, and then just little gentle circles. Nothing too aggressive. We don't want to hear pops or anything, you know, aggravating. Is this painful for anyone? Does anyone have arthritis of like the wrist? That this is uncomfortable? Alright, and then let's just wrist up and down. I know this is helping those joints and making them a little bit stronger, but I personally have never dealt with wrist injuries. So I can't, firsthand, I don't know how, if that's uncomfortable or not. That's why I'm asking. And then let's go in and out. So hopefully, I don't want to put anyone through any pain, but hopefully this is okay. Okay. Great. All right, we're going to start working our way down. So left ankle on that right knee. Left ankle on right knee. I appreciate you folks with your cameras on. I really do. I know we may not be talking very much, conversations, but I've had some classes where I have 20 people online and not one person turns on their camera. And it feels like I'm here by myself sometimes. So let's push down. So yeah, it's been different. Push down, and then let's bring that knee up. And if I talk a lot, I'm sorry. I'm just a talker sometimes, so I tend to chat. You should be feeling the stretch over here as well. Switch. And my neighbor behind my garage is mowing his lawn right now. So I thought there was an earthquake happening. And this is the first time in 4 years that he's mowed his lawn during my class. So I've never, I didn't even know he had grass back there. But it's a lot of noise right now. Hopefully you're feeling this right by your glute or your under your leg. Just press downwards a little bit. Usually just rest my forearm. That's enough to feel that stretch. There's some people that really gotta push down. I think I just tend to have tighter hamstrings, so I'll feel it here. Bring that knee up, just hug it. And relax. Alright, this next one's gonna be a little bit of a stretch here, and this is one of those movements that you may not get too much movement. So sometimes when we don't see a lot of movement, we may not think that we're actually doing it correctly or getting much out of it. But just letting you know, there's not gonna be a lot of movement on this one. So you're here holding your leg up, so my left arm is resting on my left leg, and I'm just holding my leg, and I'm just swinging that right foot out. So away from my body. And again, not much movement, but all of it's happening right here on that upper thigh. About 10 of those. And switch. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do one of our more, I guess I'd say one of our more important movements for balance. So for this one, it's our chair squats. So these are just movements that we want to get confident doing in case at any point we have can use our arms or our legs for stability. So we want to be able to get out of our bed or out of a chair. Okay, so from here, just no hands, come up and just stand up and sit back down. Okay, and I know if we're ever find ourselves in that situation where we may need assistance, you could probably make it easier by rolling or kind of doing this motion to get up because you're rolling yourself into it. But right now, just to challenge ourselves a little bit more, you're gonna stay upright, because we could be in a chair that has a very flat upright backrest, and we won't be able to do the whole rolling thing. So we just want to get used to this, and I usually stab my heels into the ground to get good leverage, and I do those. Okay, so rest for a little bit, about 30 seconds rest, because we just did some squats. Actually, grab a little bit of water, and right now, I don't know if you've been drinking water, but I haven't. But just grab a little bit of water. I misplaced my wallet and I can't find it. I'm gonna flip the house upside down right now. So, alright, we're gonna do single leg of these chair squats. Okay, so single legs, what we'll do is your right foot, we're gonna move it a little bit forward. Okay, so you could either bring your heel next to where your toes are, or you could even extend that foot, or you could even raise it if you have really great balance. But let's either bring your foot, your right foot, to your heel matches your left toes, or extend it. Okay, so either one of those two. So just a little bit forward and begin. So all that work is gonna happen on your left leg now. So your right leg that's extended, it's not providing much force to get up. We're doing 10. and relax. Okay? You're just relaxing here. Catch your breath. Okay, left leg, extend. Oh, yeah, left leg, either place your heel next to your toes on your right foot or extend it, okay? All right, ready? 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, very good. All right, we're just gonna sit here and do some heel raises. Okay, you can relax. Heel raises. Just raise your heels. We're doing about 15 to 20 of these. Boom. This garage is getting warm now, so definitely sweating again. So just heels up. Joanne, I thought you left us. All right, now toes up. This is working on the tendons by our ankle and also your anterior tibialis. And I actually rolled my ankle on Friday. I was running out in like by Laguna Hills and by Shady Canyon out there in Irvine, and I wasn't paying attention and I rolled my ankle on this pothole on the floor. And it didn't hurt when it happened, but I felt the sensation run up to like my glute pretty much. Let's go ahead, elevate the right heel and do the ABCs. So anyways, I bring that up because right now when we were doing those toe raises, you know, it's working on this tendon, and as we were doing them, I could feel that I felt some pain here, a little bit of pain. So whenever you twist your ankle, it doesn't necessarily mean that the pain is gonna just happen on that ankle joint. The tendons run sometimes all the way to your knee, so you could feel it anywhere there, and that's where I was feeling it just now. So that's why sometimes if you roll an ankle, I know sometimes people put an ice pack directly on it, but what I like doing is if I have a bucket, I'd rather just put ice water in there and then dunk my foot in there. And as long as it's not cutting circulation or, you know, or burning it, then let's switch. Then I think it should be okay. And I do that for maybe 10 to 15 minutes bouts, and I'll do that maybe 3 times a day when I feel that. So I might do that today actually, because I feel like if I don't take care of it, it could get a little bit worse. And usually when things don't heal properly, that's when they're easier to get injured in the future. All right, I don't know if I've asked you, but does anyone right now have access to like a golf ball or a tennis ball or a softball, like a little spherical item? If you could grab something like that, I want to roll out our arches. Okay. So I'll give some folks a few minutes here. So if you have a tennis ball or a golf ball or a baseball might work best, but I want you to just barefoot, so make sure you don't have shoes on for this one. And then we're just gonna push down with our feet, and then just kind of give yourself a massage by pushing down on that ball and also rolling it around. Okay? So just push down and roll. Alright, let's switch. So left side. Back and forth. Alright, find a spot that's a little tender on that left foot and push down right next to it, not on the